The situation of Africans everywhere in the world is so deplorable. That is why one question keeps recurring. When will the black man finally stop from running and face his reality? It is very important that we answer this question. The African is like someone running between the devil and the deep blue sea. And that is why 48 African heads of states will be summoned by a small country known as Korea, and they'll be running to attend and answer yes sir to them. This only happens because Africans are running to 54 different directions. There is a body without a head. That is the main problem of Africa. I'm Akwago from One Map Africa. And in this video, you have to stay with me to the very end for analysis that will benefit any true son or daughter of Africa. The English language recently welcomed a new word in the dictionary known as Afrophobia. It is happening like that because in South Africa, we all are aware of what is happening there. People who look like you and I are chasing people from other African states, calling them foreigners. I don't understand how an African can be a foreigner in another African nation. Now, you have to understand that all these frustrations sprout from the fact that 14% of the South African population controls about 80% of the land. You see where the problem lies. We are all being managed like this because in Africa, even those who obtain PhDs are still waiting to write CVs and deposit instead of owning the mines and the land. That is the main problem of Africa. Now, you have to remember that the South African government has been so reluctant in addressing this issue because they are like a round peg in a square hole. Things are not really in their interest. Should they quickly address the situation? Now, one of the problems is the fact that South Africa is being directed by some of the issues she had handled. Remember, South Africa some time ago took Israel to the International Court of Justice because of Palestine. And of recent, President Donald Trump accused South Africa of white genocide and all those stuff. So you have to understand that there are forces in the background, but that is not to shift blame. That is to make us to understand that we as Africans must stand and face our own problem, because those who are carrying out this injustice of Afrophobia in South Africa are a small minority of people. They are not really South Africans. And Africans everywhere on the continent and in the diaspora have to understand that South Africa is one of the newest baby in Africa. And South Africans, following some of the videos that come from that part of Africa, will show you that to some extent, most of those who are carrying out these atrocities are people that are not educated enough to understand that Africa is a family. Don't forget that in most of the videos we've been making, we've made it crystal that the biggest fear of the Caucasian is African unity. Get the picture. Europe is uniting. The United States of America were colonies that came to be a big country, okay? Almost half of the continent was united. China united before they developed. Now African unity is gaining a lot of traction. And the forces in the background, the analysis I gave about South Africa, rather about Israel and the USA, is because they want to use these people and put a lot of disunity or aggression between Africans fighting themselves. Don't forget, there's an African proverb that says that when brothers of the same father fight to death, strangers inherit their inheritance. And that is what is happening now in Africa. But we need to be smarter. We need to be smarter above that and understand that there are some bad seeds amongst us which have to be ignored, and we carry on the work that we are supposed to do to get Africa to the future. What is happening in South Africa is affecting every African state. The question comes again, why don't we always feel comfortable being at home? The answer is staring us in the face. The systems are a source of oppression to us, and that is the reason why we keep running away. Nigerians in particular are known to be very resistant and always very brilliant when they are out of the imaginary boundaries of Nigeria. And now these people are so powerful. Why do you keep, like all other Africans, crossing the Mediterranean, the Amazon forest, living and then you are assaulted everywhere? Why don't you use that power, that energy you have in yourself? You go back and implode the systems that were imposed on us so that we get some liberty back at home. The truth is that the only reason that most people migrate are economic reasons, and Africa is tremendously blessed. You see why from the beginning I started asking, why do we keep running? Why can't we stand and face? I mean, like, where did the spirit of Hannibal go? Okay, where did the spirit of Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, the most of the heroes we know go to? We need to embed that in us and make sure that we stay here at home. That is somebody else's home. We need to stay at home and build home. Yet it is true. South Africa is home to all Africans. Like Nigeria is home to all Africans. Cameroon is home to all Africans. Algeria is a home to all Africans, like all Pan-Africanists to say. But we need to develop every part of Africa. And we must start from where we are. It is super important that we understand this. Now, you watch this video and start thinking what will happen to the black family should we continue running away. This is what we face around the world. Watch the video and let's continue. Osagefo Kwame Nkrumah said, we look not to the east or the west, we move forward. I have often asked that why is China only interested in building buildings of laws or lawmaking in Africa? The AU headquarters was built by China, and here back in Cameroon, you will see the National House of Assembly was built by China. Why can China not transfer her technology to Africa? Of course, somebody will argue that the lawmakers are those who take those kind of decisions, but we know that most of the leaders we have in Africa are sell out. You see where the responsibility bounces back to us, the people of the continent, and that is why we must take our responsibility into our hands. After watching another video that will pop up here, you understand that the African has no friend. You must stand in front of the mirror and fall in love with what you are seeing. You are on your own. Everybody else in the world had to build your own. And until you take this responsibility and stop running away and fight your reality, you are doomed.
I hope this makes you as angry as it makes us. There's a viral trend around a Natasha doll in China, a black baby stress toy. Chinese social media users are filming themselves squeezing, stretching, and brutalizing the doll for entertainment. When asked why the Natasha doll had to be black, one Chinese social media user responded that a white baby, for example, would be too human and people would feel bad for hurting it. The Natasha doll is disturbing as is, and now Chinese social media users are filming themselves with real-life Natasha dolls. There are so many videos and entire channels dedicated to showing Chinese people abusing black babies, and then laughing about it. Content creator Shalom M took a deep dive on the many ways in which Chinese social media has created an entire market for abusing, harassing, and dehumanizing African children on camera. She mentions how the BBC did an entire documentary on a Chinese man who was living in Malawi and filming children without the consent of their parents and selling those videos to said Chinese market. China has a great firewall on all social media apps that are not Chinese owned, so they have their own apps like RedNote, WeChat, and more. Which means a lot of the content posted on these Chinese social media apps stays within China and is specifically targeted towards a Chinese audience and what they like. There's an entire market of Chinese adults who enjoy watching videos of black African children being abused. As our African leaders continue to welcome a nation that does not regard us as human beings, what can we do about it? Let's talk in the comments.
If you have watched up to this level, family, thank you very much. Thank you. Understand that what we are talking about is the fact that in this world, the moment you look like me, you are a kind of victim because of racism. And this is not to fuel any kind of hatred. It is to awaken us up that we need to be responsible for our destiny, for our own future, for the future of our children, our nibblings, our peeblings, and the rest. You have to understand that whether you are the son of the shoemaker, the daughter of the president, the son of the banker, or the daughter of that woman in the market selling tomatoes, outside there, they see us all as Africans. And as Africans, Even in the US Constitution, we are less of a human. So we must take this responsibility into our hands. Now, somebody will say, maybe I'm talking against immigration and all that. No, African young people are supposed to go out of the continent and learn science and technology. But another question you're supposed to ask is the home built enough to welcome them back, so that they are not distracted from the juicy kind of salaries that will be presented by every other civilization for this brain drain to go in their own direction. It is very important that we see it that way. Thank you very much. Remember, Africa must unite. Like the man who could see tomorrow, Osagio for Kwame Nkrumah said. And it is gaining traction already. And there is no force in this universe that will ever stop the unity of Africa. Why? Because it has been signed, stamped, and it is a divine mandate. Cha.